All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with a band that has been on the show in a few different capacities over the years, but it's been a while. I think the last time there was any members of this band on would have been, well, it was definitely pre-pandemic, and I think it was even a few
Yeah.
years before that as well. So it's been
About
quite a
five
while,
years.
and I haven't even really heard much about your band in quite a while until recently, and there seems to be a lot of buzz about some new things that are going on. So I think the best way to start this off is before we get into any of that, if the members of the band who are here on the interview want to introduce yourselves and give a bit of background about the band and what you do in the band so listeners can put a name to the voice. So whoever feels like
All
going
right.
first, jump right in.
Elise can
Sure,
start.
let's go in alphabetical order. And also ladies first.
Yeah.
I'm Elise Roller, and I am the lead vocalist and shit disturber.
I am Ian Clements, and I am mostly just a drummer.
Yeah, I'm Morgan Davis. I play bass, and that is all. That is all. Just
Right.
bass.
And so how many other members are there at this point in the band?
Just one. Brett Hesford's playing guitar with us now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he had joined us on a tour back before we ended about 5 years ago, and he was a great guy to play with, so we wanted to have him back.
Cool. Well, maybe that's a good place to start then, is that 5 years ago ending the band? Because like I said, I didn't realize that you were still actively doing anything until sort of these social media posts started coming up about a show that's
We
coming
weren't.
soon.
We weren't at all.
Honestly, we basically haven't done anything for 5 years because we kind of just decided to take a hiatus because we needed a break from the band.
Okay.
I think all of us kind of got a little tired and worn out from pushing too hard for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
Sure.
And I mean, we all kind of had extra passion projects going on too that we kind of had to pursue, and Solhounds kind of had to get left behind because of that. And we had always talked about coming back together and playing shows or doing something, but there was no timestamp on that. It was kind of just left in the open. And then really what brought us back together was Shania Twain, which sounds pretty crazy, but
Well, it sounds incredibly random if people have heard your band too, because I don't think that Shania Twain and Solhounds are
nothing to do with each
necessarily, you would put them beside each other. So what's the Shania Twain fascination? Like, why?
So, my thing was Shania Twain has become huge again, which is awesome. I've honestly never been a fan of her up until a year and a half ago when I was watching a Netflix documentary on her career.
Okay.
And while watching this, I kind of saw some similarities between Shania Twain and what Elise was doing with our band. And then I was like, oh, these songs are kind of metal too. And we kind of we kind of talked about doing metal covers of a weird band that doesn't really suit us.
Right.
And somehow the Shania Twain just made so much sense. And then I kind of presented this idea to Morgan and then Elise, and everybody seemed on board to pull this off. So yeah, Shania kind of brought us back together.
I'm a sucker for wordplay, so SolTwain is it.
Well, yeah.
It's really good, yeah.
I'd say that I actually was probably the biggest Shania Twain fan, in the world when I was a young girl. And it was actually my first stadium concert I had ever been to.
Oh, wow.
And I used to practice walking down the aisle to From This Moment On down my basement hallway. So this was an easy one for me because I already knew all the lyrics to her songs. But yeah, it is. I mean, I guess I never really thought of her as being sort of the ambassador for female empowerment in country music back in the 90s. But I would say that documentary sort of brought some light to that. And yeah, so it was honestly it's been fun, but it's also turning bubblegum country into metal songs is probably the most challenging thing we've
It's so
ever
great.
done musically.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd definitely be a challenge. So how does that work? I mean, just not to get too technical into it, but I mean, those songs are definitely not, as far as I know. I mean, I haven't listened to Shania Twain really outside of hearing the singles on the radio when they were pretty much constantly on the radio and you couldn't avoid them. But I mean, is the structure of the songs easy to convert
Well,
into metal, or do you have to completely revamp them?
yes and no. It's a song by song basis. I started doing some of these just on my own.
Year and a half
year and a
ago.
half ago,
Yeah.
just trying to figure out if it would work. And we had a list of like 12 songs, and it was a headache at best a lot of the time trying to figure out how it'd work. But some of the guitar riffs in these songs, like you use them as a bass line, and it sounds heavy as all hell. But one of the songs that we were doing, it just clicked, and we all started playing it together after I kind of did a small arrangement and then got the real musicians on board so we could actually flesh stuff out. And it started to fall together pretty quickly.
The first 4 songs were easy.
Yeah.
Everything after that felt like we were just picking through garbage. And not that her songs are garbage, but like for us, the way we write songs, we have a lot of parts and there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of different fills.
And it's a darker tone normally, not
Sure.
a super happy.
Yeah. And yeah, like I remember, I think the last 3 songs we worked on, or 4 songs, were like, they took us so long to finish because we didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And like we've gotten to this point now where I think we're better at playing these songs than our own, which is kind
Yeah.
of scary.
And mildly depressing. I haven't hugged my knees in the shower to that thought at all. There was a point too where we've been having trouble because a lot of the subject matter and song titles are very similar, that we will be talking to each other about completely different songs, but thinking that we're talking about. Elise and I had an entire conversation about changing the entire structure of a song. I didn't even realize we were talking about different songs.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
So just to rewind a minute, like, I mean, so this is just a one-off, right? This is not going to be some kind of ongoing Shania Twain metal project, or is that dependent on how successful this
That
is?
depends. How many of you want to throw money at us?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what price tag, how much you want to pay
Yeah.
for us to keep doing Shania Twain covers.
But
Yeah,
no,
the plans for
this-
the one time.
it's
Yeah.
a one-off. We're doing
Yeah.
a reunion show where we're playing our originals. We do have a new song to throw out there too, and then we're doing another set, and it's all Shania. So we're just doing a big one night only.
Is it a prelude to any kind of reunion of the original material as well, or is that just one night only also?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the plan right now.
Yeah.
What-
We're not gonna like probably slug it out on the road in a tiny van anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
We don't have too many back problems for that.
Yeah.
Like-
We're too old for that now. But yeah, I mean, like, we've been having a lot of fun with it, and we know there's an audience for what we do and the message that my lyrics have. So I think, yeah, I mean, essentially it's like a reunion show to sort of launch whatever this is going to look like. And I think, we've tossed around going into studio a bit, and maybe re-releasing the material that we threw out into the abyss after we broke up.
Okay. Is there a lot of that? Like, do you have a lot of songs that didn't get put out anywhere?
Well,
Yeah, pretty much all of them, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we released like 2 of them before a tour, and then we were sitting on another 5, and
wow.
we just decided, I think it was like a year after we stopped playing
Well,
shows.
it was during the pandemic, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
I
it
was because I mean, like, we recorded these songs and they sounded awesome, but they lived in my hard drive.
yeah.
We were like, well, we may never get back together, and these songs shouldn't stay in the hard drive, so we should just release them. And then we released these 4 songs and never talked to anybody ever again.
Well,
Up until now.
yeah, and on top of that too, it's like it wasn't just us. We worked with some really awesome people to make that music, and it
Yeah.
felt like a shame to just, put it on for myself when I feel sad.
Yeah, no, like I get that. I get that for sure. You don't want to just let it sit there and fester in digital form, like forever on some hard drive. It's made to be heard,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a couple questions related to the Shania thing, and I guess, like, first of all, is what has the reaction been from people who know your band before this and maybe
Why?
wouldn't have expected the Shania Twain element being part of it?
They're kind of like, I mean, some people are pretty stoked because I mean, a lot of people like Shania, but then some people are confused. They're like, "How do you guys play Shania music?"
I
That was my
definitely,
reaction, honestly.
I had told someone that we were going to do it more than a year ago, and then I saw that same person maybe 3 months ago, and I said, "Oh yeah, so we're doing the." And he's like, "Oh, you were serious?" That was the reaction I got. So super confident right now.
Well, and then I had like a second part of that question is who is this for then? I mean, are you hoping that someone who's a Shania Twain fan is going to see a poster or see something online for it and want to come check this out? You know,
Yeah,
maybe not
absolutely.
knowing
Yeah.
the other half of it.
Honestly, that was part of this was like because again, whatever, we were playing shows for a while, 5 years ago, people were coming to our shows, we were having a good time. We haven't played in 5 years, so like what's the reason to bring people out to see us other than the fact we're going to play the same songs that we've been playing before?
Yeah,
So this was kind of like a hook in a way to bring people to the show, and even if you don't like us but you like Shania Twain, you'll probably still show up.
And if you don't like Shania Twain,
You might
we
like
will
us.
make you like Shania Twain.
It's true. I think it's also like it's also for us like I don't know, we haven't done this in a long time, and
Yeah. It was a
we've gone
challenge.
through like a lot of, I think, positive changes, like mentally and emotionally, since like we first broke up. And um it's been like really fun for us to just like work on a super ridiculous project together, where
Absolutely.
it's like, and I don't know, like there's something about like, making art that you're essentially gonna like throw away.
yeah,
like
Yeah.
redoing these songs, and like literally we've spent like a year, and like these guys, like more than me, have been spending way more time on it
Yeah,
than
we're
me. Like
like,
they'll work on something and send me a recording, and like, so it's just, there's like this really interesting feeling that you get, like it's like a weird satisfaction of like, I'm spending all of this time
yeah.
on this art, and I'm going to do it once, and I'm
yeah,
never going to like look at it again.
Well, and
And
the one thing about this too is like we've never played two sets and we've talked about it, but we've never had time to write more music because we've always had to like play sets or go on tour or go to the studio. And we for years kind of stopped writing songs because there was no time.
sure.
So it was kind of a challenge to like see if we could not only remember our music but come up with an entirely different set, which is a challenge because again, like this music is high energy, so it's like it's a workout.
Sure, yeah, I
Um,
bet.
and the fact that we have to do two of these sets like this, where we're like, going through an intense workout the entire time. Yeah, it was just kind of fun to set a goal and see if we could achieve it.
well, and on top of that too is even when we did covers back when we were more active, it was always the idea was let's take one that we shouldn't have done. Let's take something that no one would really expect. Like we were covering Destiny's Child and making that metal. You know what I mean?
What Destiny's Child song did
Oh,
you do?
Survivor.
Of
Okay,
course.
yeah, I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see it working, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, it works. But
That's
it's
awesome.
just it's taking that thing that people aren't gonna be expecting you to do and turning that into something that kind of blows them away and at the end of the day is the most fun you can really have doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
And
think
we're
like also nowadays, like it's, especially post pandemic, people are looking for an experience. Like it doesn't really seem to be enough to just like do the same show over and over and over again. And like to get people off their phones and out of their couches and spending money on a night out, you kind of have to like give them a little bit extra. And so this is sort of that extra that we want to
yeah,
give to people. And also to, it's like thanking them for investing their night and time into us.
and we're putting it into, it's a show. It's not we're not just going up and playing on stage. Like
We got stage
we've got
gear.
a light
Nice.
show going on. There's costume changes. It's excessive for what we would normally do. This isn't just us playing in a bar. This is a couple of people who had too much time on their hands while simultaneously not having enough time on their hands.
Yeah.
But show
It's a good description
like-
of it.
Something we've never done too is like again, we've mostly played bar shows. I've personally, I've always wanted to be on a drum riser just because, you know, like I'm always like tucked in the back and nobody can see me.
He likes to see and be seen.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So part of this show was like we kind of wanted to have a stage set up. So we wanted to have like a drum riser. We wanted to have somebody doing a cool light show. So not only are you getting hopefully cool music to listen to, but like the stage show is going to be something to look at too.
And
So-
we have special guests.
We
Yes.
do, yes. We have a few special guests joining us on stage as well.
Is that a surprise, I guess?
A little bit.
Well, yeah, there's 3 or 4 for the SolTwain set.
Cool.
And we are gonna slowly announce them over the next few weeks. So look out for that on Instagram.
Awesome. Awesome. So as far as the actual Twain songs themselves, I mean, did deconstructing them to reconstruct them, I guess, in your style,
Yeah.
did that sort of give you any more I don't think respect is the right word, but like more kind of interest in the songwriting style? Because she has that guy that wrote a lot of her songs with her, who's like a very
Yes.
successful professional songwriter and did
Yeah.
churns on like pop hit after pop hit after pop hit, right? So
Yeah.
did you kind of get the feel for that side of it? Just
A
in
bit.
turning out like your own version of the songs?
I would say yes, just based on the fact that I personally, if I'm writing, I'm not in that pop kind of vein.
Yeah.
And you do get a little bit more of an appreciation for what goes into it. It does sound like simplistic music. A lot of the times it really does, but when it gets right down to it, there's a lot more intricacies than are immediately apparent. And when you're starting to pull those songs apart and you're trying to, say, take a fiddle line that's a hook and turn it into a bass part, or you're trying to take a keyboard part and make that into a rhythm guitar or something
Yeah.
like that, really does change the way that you have to look at the song and look at the songwriting in general.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Sometimes it's really easy and sometimes it takes a couple of weeks of us yelling at the computer screen listening to the same song over and over again.
And sometimes all you need is a key change.
Yeah.
Mutt Lang.
Yeah.
Mutt Lang's
That's the name.
yeah,
There-
his
there
go-to
was-
is the key
yeah.
change.
There was
Oh,
one
for sure,
song that it's 2 chords and every verse and every chorus it's just a key change, and that's the song. There's no new rhythms, there's no new nothing, and we were like, how do we make this
A song.
anything more interesting than just that, you know?
And did it work out? Did you keep that one in the set list?
Oh yeah.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. We only do the key change one time that though. So
And that's so we can add in some Pantera,
Yeah.
but which will make more sense when you listen to it.
Sure, sure. Well, I know a few minutes ago, at least you were saying about the idea of this being a one-time thing and art that's not going to be, it's just going to be done once and then kind of disposed of. Is there any interest on the band's end as far as like recording it for your own sakes or getting video or audio of this? Because I mean, you put so much work into it. Whether you're releasing it or not, maybe isn't the question. But like after all this time learning these songs and reinterpreting them and practicing and everything, like is there any desire on any of your parts to sort of hold on to it?
Like
Absolutely.
I think yeah, like there's a couple songs where we've been like, this would actually be fun to record and like put out there, like
There's one.
not doing the whole show all the time.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's some songs that have turned out like pretty hilariously awesome.
There's one in particular that every time we play it, we're like, oh, I wish this wasn't a Shania cover, and it was
Yeah.
our own song. So that might get cannibalized down the road. We'll see.
Is there any desire to do this with anyone other than Shania in the future? Like, I mean, assuming this goes off
Absolutely.
as
We've
well as you
had-
hope it does. I mean,
Yeah,
it could-
so we've had some ideas. I don't think we really want to say them right now, but
Fair.
we've definitely talked about doing something else like this in the future with a different group.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Are they ludicrous suggestions?
yes.
Certainly. Did anyone ask for them? Not
No.
even a little bit. But we'll do them.
But that is a thing now, right? This whole bands as bands thing is definitely becoming more and more
Yeah.
popular. I see posters for it and show listings and stuff all the
absolutely.
time. So
And we'd actually we'd always wanted to do one of those, and we really never got the opportunity to do that. So now we're just kind of forcing our way into it
Well,
ourselves.
we actually got asked right after we broke up to do a bands as bands. And
That's
then it was
right,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, we're not really playing shows anymore, so I guess we can't do that.
was there a suggestion of what band you were going to do if that had happened?
Well, like I remember we had talked about this back in the day, and we thought about doing Nirvana.
Yeah, there was a Nirvana set that got pitched around.
But
Okay.
again, it's like too similar in music, so we
True.
figured like let's start with Shania Twain and go from there.
A good starting point, I guess. Yeah, for sure. So what are the details of the show? I mean, we've been talking about the show happening, and because it is a one-off, people obviously want to get down there to check it out when it happens. Where is it? When is it? And how can people get tickets?
It is it's at West End Cultural Center on April 26th. And we're really excited that we actually invited the School of Rock House Band
Oh, cool.
to be one of the openers. And then Dr. Rift is also opening, and an amazing band. Like,
For sure.
I'm nervous to follow.
Well, you're doing Shania Twain though, so I mean, I think that they might be nervous opening for you.
I mean, that's true. That's true. Shania will save the day again. Yeah, and yeah, and then like I said, we've got, I mean, we have a whole set of Solhounds tunes and a new song and some rewritten songs, mainly by me because I realized my lyrics sucked. And then our Shania Twain set with some special guests. So
Cool. Was the original stuff, was that, I imagine that was easier to put together just because you've played a lot of those songs so many times over the years, and
We
or
forgot
is
a
it
lot.
muscle memory?
Oh
or what?
man,
Yeah.
it was rough. There was a lot of sitting and listening to those songs over and over again and thinking, what the hell was I even thinking?
Yeah, or
And then
like,
realizing I'm not even playing in the right tuning and starting at the drawing board again.
or even just like I think when we wrote a lot of those songs too, like we were maybe at different stages in our musicianship, so like trying to remember how to play these weird fills that we came up with and still have that sound the same way as it used to. It kind of like took us a year to remember how to play some of these songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
which is
and
crazy.
obviously, again, this is a one-off show, and you want people to come out because it may be it's the first time they've been able to see you live in years now. But I mean, this is a podcast. Someone could hear it the day it comes out, in which case the show will be imminent, or they could hear it, a year from now. Show's already over. You still exist in some form or other as a band. Where can people find out what's going on with the group as far as, potential upcoming shows, or even just to hear your original recordings that have already been released?
We're pretty much everywhere. If you want to use any streaming service, we're on essentially all of them, I think.
Yep, everything.
You can do Spotify, you can do Apple Music. There's tons of stuff on YouTube as well if you don't want to give streaming services money. Can't blame you. You can
Yeah,
follow us on
and-
social
and-
media.
yes, social media. Solhounds_unleashed.
Okay.
Solhounds is spelled SOL, like the sun,
Yes.
like sun dogs.
Well, I hope someone listening to this will see that in the title and not, at least consult it before searching.
I
But you never
mean-
know. There's no guarantee.
You
but-
would be surprised.
I would, yeah.
You would be so surprised. We will spell it out in a freaking email for someone and they still get it wrong.
over and over again.
Hey, my fiance spells it wrong, and
Yeah.
that's a little bit painful.
Is the Unleashed, is that new social media for the group?
Yeah, so the issue is our Instagram page got swallowed into the internet.
It became the Russians' property.
Right.
And yeah, this was like maybe again start of the pandemic. I remember just opening up Instagram one day and the Solhounds was just deactivated somehow.
Yeah.
And there was no way of getting it back. You can't call a person to fix these problems. It was just saying goodbye to the entire thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why we are trying to push now to rebuild the page, because we've had to start from scratch again after spending like a decade building something up.
Yeah, that sucks.
So it's kind of
A
painful.
little
but
frustrating.
that's just the way the world is these days.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're listening to this, go follow them on on all the social media you can find
Please,
to help build
we're
up those.
begging. We need it so badly.
We
Well,
need more followers.
Yeah. Well, that's the way of the world. Unfortunately, it seems like that's what everyone is fighting for. So, I mean, I hope you can build it back up to where it was.
We
But
promise we won't be promoting all the time. It's 80% entertainment.
right, and you're not playing shows all the time either. So it's kind of
Oh, that's true.
exciting to turn on your social media. Oh, look, something's happening.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I'm glad that you're coming back, and especially in this form, because it's kind of a cool concept just for a band that no one would have expected you to cover. And so yeah, like people should definitely check out the show. Again, do you want to just plug the date of the show and the location again?
Yes, our show is on April 26th, 2024 at West End Cultural Center.
Awesome.